What originally interested you in partaking in the craft of pottery?
So I fell in love with pottery in high school, and it was something that was always very freeing to me. I loved the feeling and the texture of the clay in my hands, and just having that escape of being in the moment and, just doing something that I could think of and it would come to life in my hands.
Tell me how you develop concepts or creative ideas for your craft objects.
I try to think of the use that I need to use them for, and that helps me kind of build on more innovative ideas. I try to make them my own, so if I see something that maybe has been done before in the past, I try to build on that, how to make it my own and create something new with that.
What or who motivates you to keep making pottery?
I would have to say Diane helps to motivate me in making pottery because we constantly bounce ideas off of each other, and we go to workshops together, we do conferences, and it's really nice to have somebody to talk to and build ideas from. She has so much more experience than I do, and I really appreciate that, and we have a great relationship here at the studio.
How do you organize your work week? Do you have specific throwing days, glazing days, or does it change from week to week?
It's kind of difficult. I have pots in stages at all different times, so it's kind of like just trying to balance things consistently. When I'm working in the studio, sometimes the kiln needs to be fired, so we've got to fill that, so I need to be glazing, and then I have pots that are drying, so I need to be trimming. So it's really just a balancing act of trying to get everything all together.
What life lesson has clay taught you?
The life lesson that clay has taught me would have to be patient and to stay in the moment. It's really nice to be working with a material that kind of tells you when you're not in the present, because throwing on the wheel, it will really knock it off center, or something will happen and you really have to be paying attention to what you're doing. So it helps keeping my mind focused on one thing.
What is the process for making pottery?
Process for making pottery would be the different stages of, starting with a lump of clay, and then wedging it, and then going from there onto the wheel and throwing a form, and then going from there to then letting the clay dry out, altering it where it needs to be altered, and then trimming it, allowing it to dry out completely. Then once the piece is completely dried out, then I can put it into the first bisque firing, which all clay bodies go through, and then I can glaze it and then finally fire it in the gas kiln.
What is your favorite part of the process?
That's a tough one, but I'd have to say my favorite part of the process would be throwing on the wheel, because it's keeping me in the moment. It's something that I've always enjoyed the most out of is throwing. It's one of those things where I could be having a bad day, and if I can throw on the wheel, it turns my whole day around and changes my attitude.
What are your hobbies outside of art?
Some of my hobbies outside of art, I'm really outdoorsy. I love riding horses, going skiing, going boating, fishing, all of that, walking with the dogs, hanging out on the beach with friends. I think it's really important to have a social life and be doing something other than just making art and working all the time, because it's really important to balance everything. When I feel like I work too much, my work kind of suffers, and I feel like it kind of goes to a place where I don't want it to. I want it to feel fresh and look new and be inspiring to others.
Do you have a favorite piece?
Yes, I have a favorite piece. My favorite piece would have to be my oyster plate. I actually took quite a few months to try to design a full dozen size oyster plate, and it turned into more of a platter. It took me a long time to do, and it's something I'm really proud of. I've won awards with it, and it's something really different that a lot of people have not seen before.
What is raku pottery? What is the technique?
So raku pottery is an ancient Japanese firing technique where the pots are actually smoke-fired process. And what we do is each piece is handmade, and then they get completely dried out. They go through the first firing process, which is then bisque fired. So once they're bisque fired, then I can hand glaze each piece, which can take quite a bit of time. And after it's been glazed, then I put it in an outside gas kiln. It reaches about 1750 degrees, which gets really hot. And then I open the top of the kiln and take each piece out with these big long tongs, and I have a fire shield on and welder's gloves, and From there, each piece gets taken out and smoked in barrels filled with sawdust and seaweed and newspaper. So where there's no glaze, the pots actually get smoke fired and leaves a black flat surface. And where the flames move across the glaze actually changes the chemical composition and changes the color of the glaze. So each piece really comes out one of a kind, and I try to recreate them, but it's like Christmas morning, you never know what you're gonna get.
Do you have any advice or tips you can offer to the aspiring artist today?
So any advice or tips I have for the aspiring artist, I would have to say that it's really important to always keep trying. It can get really discouraging trying to make something, and you have to remember the first time that you make something is always going to be a prototype. So just remember to keep trying, always move forward, and stay positive.